Thought I'd shoot a quick update of the VS. So, as you can hear, she sounds bloody magical. It did just get started up, so that's why the idle's dropping. It'll stabilise more as it gets warm, but so I've had the engine right apart. So I've had a number of you guys, shit, I can trip over the water meter. I've had a number of people asking about the dark green VS. So the transmission's been replaced. Who replaced the transmission? Well, it wasn't me. I didn't want to get on the ground because I think a bunch of you guys forget that this is basically my workshop under the carport in the front yard, and it's pretty lousy getting under the car, and it's mud basically. So the clear coat's really suffered, but it's 30 years old almost. So this is the motor. So what's been done to it? Upper and lower radiator hoses, new battery, new alternator, transmission replaced. The transmission's out of a VX Commodore. So like a, I don't know, a year 2000 Commodore or 2001, whatever. Not really up on anything past VT, so someone's going to correct me and say, no Dave, VX ran between X and Y. It's like, well, fair enough. So the alternator, for those that are playing along at home, I want to get the bloody phone right. If you don't want to put a shit Bosch alternator in, hold it still, Dave. That's what you get to, that's the part number there, the A003TB0191. That's what you get. It's a Mitsubishi Heavy Industries alternator. She's 120 amps, as you can see. And the Bosch alternators are just lousy, crap quality alternators, and Ford have been using these alternators since EA, and they are much better than the Bosch product. So I don't know when Bosch started making crap, but the last lot of Bosch alternators I had got thrown in the bin. So this alternator's new, hasn't done any work, but it got bought a couple of years ago, whatever, 3 years ago. So that thing over there is running the same alternator. So this alternator here will do L67 and it will do Ecotech. So that part number does all of these sixes. Well, not an alloy tech, but why would you want an alloy tech? So you can see I've got a bit of toilet paper shoved in that little hose connection point, if you want to call it that. It's just the evap system. She's pretty well not hooked up. Well, you can see there's a plastic line there and all the rest of that good stuff, but the plastic line's all petrified at the engine end. So I've resealed the airbox. As you can see, I've had it apart. I trued this part was actually quite warped, so I sanded it flat. So you don't need precision, but flat's good. And I've made a gasket for it out of gasket paper, and I used high temp silicon, high temperature Celastic, not Celastic, it was what brand was it? I can't bloody remember, but it's Permatex. It might have been Permatex Red, high temperature. And was there a reason I used it? Hell yeah, I had it in the tube and it was sitting around. So I use the red, I don't bother with the other regular Permatex. Yeah, a bit of a casualty. The window washer bottle top is broken off. Might as well pull that float out. So she's all broken and buggered. So we're gonna have to get a new bottle for it. This plastic's all it's just gone hard, and you can see it's got like, see the way plastic goes when it's, yeah, it's all knackered. Rare Spares have got a product in development. So yeah, I've also replaced the PCV hose. Why is there only one? Well, because the valve itself is right there. That little bulge there, that's what that's for. But this is one of the sweetest idling Ecotechs I've ever heard in my life, just about. So there's a lot more I can tell you about this car. I'm not going to bother with this video, but yeah. So it's had a lot of suspension and steering work done. The front end's about to get a full complement of Nolithane bushes, brand new. And also strut to lower control arm ball joints. This is getting safe brake stainless steel braided hoses for the brake lines, you know, to replace the rubber hoses, because it gives you phenomenally good braking. And rubber hoses are pretty crap. So the stainless braided hoses are just far better. But yeah, so this is the quality of my work. I mean, the car sat for 4 years. I've had the injectors out. I've actually put new pintle caps. Actually, they're not pintle injectors, they're orifice injectors. So they're not pintle valve injectors. Pintle valve injectors, you can use your fingernail and manually actuate the valve, but the injector valve, but they're orifice injectors. You just see a bunch of little microscopic looking holes on the end of the injector nozzle. But I put new injector nozzle caps and new strainer baskets. The little filters that go into this end of the injector, this end, the fuel rail end. So yeah, I just used a wood screw and screwed it into the little strainer baskets and extracted them that way. Then I used brake system cleaner to make sure there were nothing in the injectors that I might have introduced. The fan resistor's the next frontier. I've got that plastic bag over the inlet to the heater. This is where the fan resistor lives on a VS. It is different to the original. The original is basically nichrome resistance wire and no safety, which is great if you don't care about the car burning to the ground, because the old fan resistors, if you get leaves in the heater box, it'll tend to just not cool the fan resistor and the leaves will catch fire. So the replacement original part, it is different, and I'll make a video about it, but you've got to modify the sheet metal where it goes in. There's a tab for the old one to locate it. The new one won't fit if you've got that tab. So I'm not sure why they didn't design it around the car. Only that maybe that one's got the same setup except no tab, I don't know. Probably in VT they got rid of the tab and put a different fan resistor in it, but it's pretty important stuff. If the fan resistor fails completely, or even partly, you'll start missing a speed on the fan. Then it'll start with like number 1 speed, number 2 speed, whatever, number 3 speed, and you'll always have the fastest speed, because you know that doesn't go through the fan resistor, it bypasses it. A little bit concerning that on the fastest speed that compressor doesn't kick in. It may be flat. I know it's running, but yeah, it's free, so it's not turned on or anything, but it could be flat on refrigerant. But I'm just going to gas it up with high chill -30 if it is. It's about right for a 134A system. Do not do what I just did unless you know what you're doing, because if the car's running you should never put your hand near the fan belt. But I know what I'm doing. I know what's going to happen or not going to happen. If you've got climate control especially, make damn sure it is all off. But yeah, so that's the dark green VS. She's had a new windscreen, but yeah, there's enough meth heads around the place that it got vandalised, so I don't know if you can see that, but that line there's actually an X scribed into the screen. You can't really see it very well, but yeah, so you can sort of see that. So the new screen's got to be replaced. I've got to say, the windscreen fitter that did this did a pretty messy job. I mean, the camera doesn't want to focus. Come on. Yeah, it's a pretty messy job. It's not going to focus on that, but it's pretty messy. There's a few things I got to take care of. We got some rust around the back windscreen. Disappointing, because I actually paid to have this professionally sprayed with no windscreen in it. She's got water. It's probably because that plastic bag's not sealing very well. We do have some goodies. For a start, we have Statesman seats. We do have the door trims, but they're going to have a hole knocked in them to accommodate the manual windows, which is fine because electric windows are an unreliable pest. Another thing we have, this is if you run the Statesman seats you're gonna have to make a compromise and be happy with that showing there, because the long wheelbase is just different slightly. Some guys take out this like fiberboard piece and modify it so it sits flat, but I'm gonna leave it alone. You can't see it with the door shut. As you can see, yeah, look at that. V into VS sedan. We got front and rear Knox molded car carpets. So really nice quality carpet. Very nice and soft. Matching Statesman seats. Far better than the boring old Acclaim seats. So the only catch with this carpet is you've got to be comfortable cutting holes in it for the seat bolts and stuff like that. These lock buttons are pretty crusty. They're all broken. You probably can't see it very well, but that little bit of orange plastic, it's got a tab broken off, but they're making these new. You can buy aftermarket new buttons for these cars. So if you're gonna take the door trim off, don't be a dodo. These orange bits, you have to lever them out. They will break every time because these are old cars now. But you lever out the orange bit and then just pull the knob off. So that's the secret. But, you know, she won't go down. Like, see, it sort of sticks. But that's because that, as witnessed by that little skid mark there, that witness mark, she's catching on that. So if I put this camera sort of, hold the bloody thing still. Oh. Yeah, she won't go down, so that's the reason why. All 4 doors need rewiring. Central locking isn't working properly. Now that it's stabilised out on the idle, this is a stabilised dark green VS. Nope. Pretty friggin' good if you ask me.